morning. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the English news. Here are the headlines of our edition tonight. Our headlines are: the head of state inaugurated this morning the new headquarters of the East Africa Bank. On continental New London agreed to postpone Brexit until 31st. Welcome if you join us. The head of state, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, sponsored this morning the official inaugurations of the new headquarters of the East African Bank of Djibouti, located in the heart of the city center of the capital, and especially at the place of June 27 inside of the district. The President of the Republic, on his arrival, was welcomed by the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, and many other dancers from the Tree community participated this event. And the chairman also of the board, Mr. Mohammed Saeed, the inaugurations of this new building. The president was accompanied by the First Lady, the president of the Djiboutian Union of Djibouti Women, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud Haid. And this event gathered beside the President of the Republic, the Prime Minister, and the member of the government and the Parliament, also the Governor of the Central Bank of Djibouti, Ahmed Osman Ali, and the representatives of the diplomatic and consular corps accredited in Djibouti, officials of the UN system, and senior officials of constituted bodies, including the chief of staff and the general of the army, but also other businessmen. After the ribbon was cut, the president made a state visit. This inside the new building was made up of the 8th branch, especially for investment, the purchase of cars and others, 4 ranks and hotel and underground parking. This head office is also the Amiral Bank of all the agencies of the National Theatre, an architecture that reflect the modernizations and symbolize the success of these private institutions since its creations. Remember that this inauguration reflects the favorable environment of investors that the government has put in place. The banking sector in Djibouti and grown considerably in recent years. The most visible change is the growing number of players in the market, which is increasing competitiveness and expanding products and services for local customers.
waddankeena hana qaaday iyo horumarkan gaadhnay, dhaqaalaha hagaagiyo dhismaha heerka sare gaadhay, caddeed inay saboolnimo hadhaan loo xaloosiyaye habartoobireedo hogaan haybad la tahaye himilooyinkaagii ilaa kuma hungaysiin.
The president of the CEO African Bank, Ibrahim Rashid Jaffer, emphasized in his address that this new building reflects the economic growth.
East Africa Bank has grown from strength to strength in the past 9 years, and today we mark another milestone as we celebrate the completion of East Africa Bank Tower. which will host our head office, a prestige branch that will serve our corporate customers, high net worth individuals, and a new luxury hotel. Our new headquarters will help streamline management systems and regular monitoring of operations, provide support and advisory services to our customers, government, agencies, NGOs, and the general public. East Africa Bank has a committed team right from the board of directors to management and staff who give their all to the bank. I am especially humbled by the passion of our people to cater for our diverse customers in the region. Djibouti is the nucleus of a dynamic, rapidly transforming region where cross-border business provides limitless opportunities for the economy, our clients, and the bank.
For his part, the chairman of the administrative commissions and manager of Dahabshil said that in his goal, we created this bank to the support of and to promotion the investment in different sides. The support of the President Ismail Omar Guelleh and the late Governor of the Central Bank Jama Mahmoud Hay. During a meeting, the President of the Republic asked to hire 12 people. Today there are about 100 employees and will continue to create jobs in the future. The Minister of Commerce and the Minister of Economy and Interim, Hassan Hamad Ibrahim, congratulated in his speech the leaders and promoters of the Assembly's successes. In his speech, he said that this new building reflects the economic growth and development of Djibouti. He added that the choice of Djibouti for the Dahabshil groups and this bank, it's the symbol of stability and the right place to do businesses. For his part, the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, delivered a speech in the inauguration of East African Bank, in which he paid a vibrant tribute to its founder, Mahmoud Saeed Ali, called Dahabshil.
Gentlemen, today I'm very pleased, and it is an unspeakable pleasure to be here on this historic site, in the center of our city. This historical square is the prestigious place that bears the name of the date of our country, namely the square of June 27, 1977. In our opinion, any building built in this place stepped in history for us as an added value. I pay tribute to Mr. Mohammed Saeed Ali. It should be noted that the Honorable Dahabshil played a major role for Somali society during the civil war by allowing families fleeing the war and scattered around the world to send each other money using remittance centers. Later, he quickly set up Dahabshil Bank, which proposed in all the ways. Today we are inaugurating here the headquarters of the East African Bank, which has been in existence for about 10 years. Its creation is the will of the founder, Mohammed Saeed, who wanted to have a headquarters of this bank here in Djibouti. If I come back to the East African Bank's activities as such, it should be pointed out that, in view of the very short duration of its existence, we can only be admiring the quality of its activities and the scale of the investment made by the East African Bank. According to the Director General, 32 billion Djibouti francs have been invested here in Djibouti. Our customers told me the General Manager are all satisfied with our services, whatever their form. East African Bank is a pioneer in this field in terms of both Islamic and traditional financing according to the wish of its clients. For our part, we deeply respect and welcome any individual or group who wants to invest here and take part in the development of our country. It goes without saying that any potential investor is already informed about the jurisdiction in place in our country. The market law enforces the security of his person in these assets. We recommend that the heads and managers of all administration work honestly and properly with the East African Bank, while I am confident that you will respect the regulation enforced in our country.
104th Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union ended yesterday in Doha, the capital of Qatar, with the participations of a parliamentary delegation led by the Speaker of the National Assembly. All the statutory bodies of the IPU met on that occasion: the Governing Council, the Standing Committee, the Committee on the Human Rights of Parliamentarians, the Committee on Middle East Questions, and the Forum of Women Parliamentarians, and the IPU Young Parliamentarians Forum. The theme of the general debate was parliamentarians as vectors of strengthening educations for peace, security, and the rule of law. On the sidelines of the 104th Assembly in Doha, Mr. Ali Hamed had a series of bilateral meetings with the counterparts from different countries and senior officials of international organizations. The Minister of Housing, Urbanism and Environment, Mr. Moussa Mohamed Ahmed, received yesterday Mr. Francisco, Captain and Commander of the Italian military base in Djibouti, accompanied by several senior officials. The meeting was attended by Mr. Dini Abdullah Omar, as well as the Secretary General of the Ministry of Housing, Mr. Hussein Rirash Roble, and the Director of Environment and Sustainable Development, Mr. Adan Hassan Elmi, a technical advisor. Mr. Bonbello informed the Minister of Environment Protection's activity that the Italian military is doing in their base. They include the treatment and the reuse of wastewater. The commander of the Italian military base in Djibouti also informed the Minister of Urban and Planning Environment on his plan to carry out a seminar on activities related to the protections of the environment. The Executive Secretary of charge of the reform of the administrations organized this morning a workshop on the introductions of the declarations of the services to the citizens in the municipality of Belbela. The event was chaired by the Executive Secretary for the reform of the administrations, Mr. Mohamed Awale, to appoint the prefect of the city of Djibouti, Mr. Osman Billegire, and the director of the National Institute of Public Administrations. The purpose of this training falls within the framework of the head of state visions of initiating the establishment of an administrative governance that is more accessible to the populations and more sustainable for social and economic development. The Executive Secretary for Reform, Mr. Mohamed Awale, said that the process of generalizing the adoptions of the Citizen Services Declaration is very important for these missions is to be successful. There must be a considerable effort involving the political authority to make the appropriations of declaration for services to citizens effective. On continental news, the Sudanese president was dismissed on April 11, 2019 under pressures from the street and from the army. Sudanese defense minister announced the arrest of the country's strongman for 3 years. Defense Minister Awad Mohammed Ahmed bin Auf announced the arrest of the President Omar Hassan al-Bashir, who would be detained in a safe place. It also indicated the formations of a military council to ensure the interim for 2 years, and the end of which election will be held. Here we arrive at the end of this news editions. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.